Hey there everybody, and welcome to my quest guide for Rimworld. I'm Icon, and this video will guide you through all you need to know to succeed at doing quests in this game. I have centered this video around Rimworld and the royalty expansion. I'm going to talk in the first part of the video about questing in general and things that come in handy for that part of the gameplay. And in the second part, I will go through the different variants of quests that exist and talk a little bit about their difficulties, how I would take them, present 1, 2, 3 different scenarios, how to tackle these things. And I hope that at the end of this video, you will have a means and ways to evaluate if you want to accept that quest or not, or how important it is to you, and have an idea how to solve the problem at hand without blowing up your whole colony. So let's get right started. So I roughly divide quests into 2 categories. Category 1 are quests that are happening on your map, and category 2 are quests that are happening on the world map and creating sites outside, like these item stashes or even a detected lump of ore. All these things are quest sites happening outside of your base. Quests can trigger things on your map or outside of your map, and most quests can be solved with a sufficient kill box, like we have one here, and a pair of doors which can be slammed shut in the situation we need them. Like, let's do this like here. I'm going to talk about the meaning of these doors in a minute, but they are really important. And apart from that, many threats can be fought off with simple things like mortars. These are also quite useful tools for solving quests. And beyond that, well, if you have them from the royalty pack, jetpacks are really awesome. So you can just jump around on the battlefield. And of course, well, generally useful are low shield packs. Another thing about quests is that you really should always be careful about when to accept quests. Make sure that your people are healthy and happy. Make sure that you have reserves of medicine and food in stock, because you never know if the storyteller decides to slap you 2 days after doing a critical quest with just yet another raid, because the timer of the storyteller's aggression has no respect from your quest accepting bonanza. So always be sure that you can tackle like another threat on top of that, if it's something like that. Okay, and last but not least, for questing issues, it's always important that you evaluate if the reward is really worth it. Like, sometimes I really pick up great risks if I really want that reward. Sometimes you might even, especially in the early game, be willing to leave your tile and resettle somewhere else if the outcomes of the quests are especially horrendous. Sometimes that's even worth it. Okay, but that's pretty much everything I can say about general things in terms of questing. When you have quests going on, well, try to have a base established, try to have some sort of a kill box, more or less sophisticated, and have a ability to slam the doors shut for each and everybody and have an opportunity to close them down. Okay, so let's get started and talk about the quests themselves. This is going to be the more lengthy part of this video because we will talk about pretty much everything that can happen. Alright, so first off, there are quests which reward you with people that join your colony. We have different scenarios. We have the scenario where the person doesn't tell you what's going to happen. In that case, well, it can be either a weather phenomenon or a raid or a outside threat source which tries to hassle with your base. These are the most risky ones, and I'd say only take them if you really need another colonist, because you can't even look at the person at that point. The next variant here is way more honest with you. It's giving you a new colonist in exchange for a pack of manhunters attacking you. This is exactly the scenario where you need your slam shut doors for, because we just accept that here. And let's fast forward a moment. And as soon as Melvina is in here, you just forbid all the doors and manhunters won't be able to hassle with your colony. We're going to close those doors while we're going to do the rest of the tutorial to demonstrate how easy you can fight off any manhunter pack like that. Alright, here's the manhunting goose party, so enjoy. Let's talk about the quests while the goose try to attack our base further. So, the next variant of joining thingies is if you get to accept a raid, which will attack you in exchange for that. I really like those, even if it's going to be dangerous, because raiders also mean loot. If you are at a really powerful position, you don't need to worry about the attackers here at all. But here also the same thing applies. Be sure that you really need the colonist, otherwise it could be really pressuring you too hard. Another thing about these quests, always keep an eye out for the age of the people. And if you are really good at the game, you can also check out the job description of these people, because sometimes the job description itself describes which jobs they can do. For example, medieval lords are always unwilling to do dumb labor, and such things can give you a hint. But the higher the age, the higher the chance that the people will have some bad back or something like that. And yeah, with closed doors, as you can see here, manhunters are just not able to enter and will leave the map in a couple of days. So that's really just all that can happen. Alright, Jennifer is running wild. Well, that's not something which should bother us for the tutorial. And, well, last but not least, we have the opportunity to accept somebody for a psychic suppression. Psychic suppression is an effect which reduces the... Oh, goodbye, Jennifer. Which reduces the consciousness of your people by 50%. That means every action, moving, manipulation, everything will be reduced by another 50%. This is really devastating and can put you into extreme pressure, and this is by far one of the most dangerous ways to receive a new colonist. Handle with care. Psychic suppression always comes only for one gender, so this is another thing that is quite handy to use. Alright, let's get to the next category of quests. Here we get to a climate adjuster harassment site attacking us if we do this. Climate adjuster machines are working like you need to travel somewhere and destroy a building there. In this scenario, we would need to defeat 2 manhunting rats. Very simple, and always keep in mind that the harass sites, you spawn with that, they don't despawn. Only accept these things if you are willing to take the fight. We're going to accept that one right away because I want to have this category of quests later for a demonstration. So we have here a very simple thing. You receive loot for getting attacked by a bunch of manhunters. The same thing applies, just like with the colonists. Manhunters can be just fought off by that. So if you have a fortress, don't feel bad about just accepting that. It's basically free loot if you have a enclosure to hide inside for 2 to 3 days. Just make sure, as you saw there, when people go nuts, they sometimes ignore the forbidden door rule. Kinda nasty. Alright, next thing, we can have a colonist join for a harass side from outside. That's the same thing as we had it with the loot. It's just a variant of that. And always keep in mind you have to destroy this thing or it won't disappear, ever. So if the effect this site does is very devastating for your colony, don't accept these quests. But if you can't handle it, don't feel free to just accept it and enjoy the trip outside. Okay, next one is another pack of manhunters. This is nothing too special, it's just a big variant. Oh yeah, the star ratings here are always randomized. The difficulty of quests is, well, The more difficult, the more stars it has, the more difficult the quest is, and therefore the higher the rewards are as well. So reward-wise, I want to point out that there are items which can be only acquired via quest rewards. For example, Resurrectomex serums are exclusive to quest rewards and traders, and also some other things like Venometric power cells, or yeah, basically everything Architect involving is a thing which you can only get from quest rewards or traders. Okay, the next one is a monument building quest. Monument building quests are quite cool because they give you an opportunity to just build something and get a reward for that. They come with two flavors. In one scenario, you just have to build it and keep it alive for 15 days, or you will get some standing debuff, or variant 2, you have to keep them alive or you will get attacked by a bunch of manhunting buffaloes. Construction quests are really cool because they just give you something like this, a blueprint for something which you need to build. Let's demonstrate that. And then you get to decide which materials should be used, and then you just place the blueprints according to the materials you have. So it's very easy to use, and once the monument is being built, you get the reward for that. So this is always a good idea if you have a lot of building materials and space, and you can somewhat make sure that these things get defended. If not, things are a little bit more complicated, but most of the time these quests are a very easy way to get your rewards. Oh yeah, Luciferium is also a very popular quest reward for those who are addicted. Next quest type is to hide a person for a couple of days, and you will have to keep that person alive in 30 and have their mood above 30%. Also, you will get attacked by raiders. These are really dangerous quests, and on top of that, we will need to accommodate knights to make them happy. Royalty quests, but they yield very high honor rewards, and the key to beating these is to be on your way to the royalty ending anyways, so you need a very luxurious base and a very good defense pattern like these. But if you have a running kill box and a very comfy base for these people, this is basically one of the best ways to grind honor in the mid to late game. Just make sure that you have some drugs in town to keep the mood of your guests at a decent level. The mood must be, well, consistent about it, a certain level. So you will have a few hours to adjust their mood back up if they get unhappy, just in case you are wondering about that. Next one is the prisoner type quest. So here we get to keep 2 prisoners, and they are also afflicted with blood rot. You will need a prison. I forgot that. Sorry. A prison is also really good to have. So you will need a prison and you will need a doctor. They are suffering from blood rot, and blood rot means that they are needing doctors treatments very, very regularly. If they don't get treated from the blood rot, they will die, which will result in the failing of the quest. And you will also need to make sure that they don't succumb to the raids that attack you. That's also very important. So if the people die in some other way, the quest has also failed. So this is the same category as the guest quests, but you'll have to take care of prisoners instead. The real big issue there is that you will have to take care of the doctoring part. Blood rot can be either be kept under control by a doctor beyond skill rating of 12 and a good medicine room, like clean floors, medical bed, maybe a vitals monitor, good lighting, no problem. Don't even need medicine. But if you don't have these really good setups, you will need herbal medicines for these quests to make them work for sure. So next category, contract helpers. You need to lend out one colonist for a certain amount of time to get a reward. This is really cool if you have people that you can afford to give away for a while, but I tend to only accept these quests if I really need the reward. Otherwise, I feel don't comfortable with the fact of reducing my manpower in the colony, but that's just very simple to get back after a few days. Next category is a goodwill in exchange for destruction of a combat site. You also get the combat loot there. Very straightforward. It creates a threat site outside, and very good to increase your diplomatic diplomatic standings. Refugee quests are quite new. They will give you a character or several characters under your control, and they will stay for your colony for a certain amount of time, and you can control them just like your own people. There are different outcomes of this event. Sometimes they betray you, sometimes they are just outright grateful and go their way and give you a drop pod reward later, and sometimes they even just want to join your colony. Pretty good if you have the options to deal with that. Extra manpower, and most of the time betrayals are quite puny. You just make sure that you don't equip them with any too good weapons and you're good to go. So the next one is a trade quest. Trade quests are issued by the colonies there, and it's quite simple. Pack up a caravan, give them these items they want, and then just travel over there. And then as soon as the caravan hits town, you can just press a button to deliver these goods. Really cool stuff, because you can trade various things for those rewards, but just make sure you really need that stuff. It's always a nice way to grind up your goodwill, and if you have strong crafters in your base, this is the exactly good way of earning rewards there. Next category is very simple. Just attract enemies towards you. You even get a military support on for that one. Very cool stuff, because you can use the units you get for tanking the enemies, and you can keep your own people in the background. So if you have a kill box running, very simple stuff. Just keep in mind that when you get attacked by outlanders, and not just tribes people, the game can spawn these attacks as sieges. The game doesn't tell you that they come as siege. The game flags it out as a raid. But if the amount of attackers is enough to trigger a siege, it can also come as a siege. In the worst case scenario, you get sieged by several parties at once. So handle these with care. Have your mortars loaded for these quests, because they can really be nastier than it looks, especially since there's some hidden danger inside that. So what do we have here? Yes, keeping pets in the colony for a certain amount of time. Really cool stuff, especially if you have enough food stocks. But keep in mind that you have to keep these animals alive, so zone assignments can be really, really vital. Pretty cool quests though to grind honor with, because if you want to win with nobility, you will need to have a really high honor rating. So, next one is a mechanoid cluster attraction. Quite simply, you get a mechanoid cluster onto the map, and you get cataphracts to destroy that. Well, I personally don't like to play around with mechanoid clusters, because I consider them as some of the most dangerous things in game. But if you can't handle them, this is also a really good way to gather materials and rewards, because after all, mechanoids yield a lot of metals and plus steel and components and these things. And always when you see that you get units under your control, rejoice, because you get free bullet sponges that can't just die for your people. And this can so often change the outcome of a quest positively, because Rimworld enemies are not that smart. Once they attack somebody, they usually try to kill that somebody, which you can use to keep your core people alive. Alright, and the last quest from this tab here will be the weather control thingies. So sometimes you get a reward for suffering through a certain kind of weather. This is really good because most of the time it's really easy and really simple to survive. These quests are most of the time early game quests, and if the weather really doesn't bother you in any way, sometimes it's really bad, especially it's, for example, fog can be quite bad if you are relying on wind power, because it reduces the wind power by 50%. But beyond that, most of the time, free loot, just go for it. All right, let's go for the last few sections there. There is also the quest type of decrees. As soon as your colonists are knight or higher, they can issue decrees if they are unhappy enough, which is basically a quest which gets no rewards except for the mental sanity of your royal. They tend to do decrees when they grow unhappy, and these can be plant stuff or hunting quests or building quests. That one here, for example, was a decree. So to avoid these, because they are really just punishment quests, keep your royals happy and they don't issue decrees. Okay, now let's talk last but not least about the item stash quests, because these are kind of like the most dangerous things. We're going to go through every one of these. We're going to play through one prisoner camp and one item stash and one incapacitated refugee. So let's get right started. And we're going to form a caravan. When you do these caravans, we're going to start with the this one here. When you do these caravans, always make sure that you have enough food on your caravans and also some medicine, which is really important. Apart from that, I can't really say it's important to bring anything else. Sleep rolls bring some more comfort for the road, especially useful if you want to go for really long trips. If it's just a short trip, everything below 5 days, don't mind with that. But medicine can be really important to go for. Okay, let's send them off to a caravan and let's see you guys on the map. Now, there we are. So let's get into the prisoner camp via dev mode, because we can. And prisoner camps are quite easy to take down. They always consist out of the personnel defending the side and a lot of turrets on top of that. The easiest way I discovered to get these things done was to take care of the enemies there. But the turrets, you don't need to kill them at all. You just get over there and start attacking the solar power cells and the batteries. Wait a sec, I'm too close here. Just keep in mind that you should avoid getting into the range of the actual turrets, and avoid attacking the turrets if you can, because as soon as you have severed the turrets from their power sources, they can be claimed after the attack. So basically, if we just get our people around here, just around there, outside the range of the turrets, of course. You can also just click them here to make sure that you don't accidentally hit the border. Turrets sadly have a quite high range, but you can easily kill turrets also with a bolt action rifle if you want to. But according to my experiences, it's way cooler to separate them from their power sources, because this way, when you reform later the caravan, you can just pick the turrets up as loot and claim them for your own colony. Especially useful when your colony doesn't have access to these technologies yet. So let's brute force that a little bit. There we go. So there's one more here, and that's how we are going to solve these sites. After you have claimed that, you have destroyed that, you need to claim these doors to make them to pass them actively, and that's about that. It's a little bit finicky to get around the corners like that. If you don't want to do that, like I described here. You can always just get into the maximum range of those turrets and just fire a few rounds. Sooner or later they'll just pop. Just keep in mind that you can only reform your caravan as soon as the last turret has been destroyed. This is true for every combat site, which includes turrets, not only for prisoners. After that's been dealt with, you just need to right-click at Free Prisoner, and then you're good to go. Alrighty, so that's another way of doing it. Catch you guys on the map. Alright, the next category are climate adjuster and similar sites. Let's get over there and enter them. They are quite similar to what we saw right there, but they come without extra defenses. If they are guarded by sleeping mechanoids, you can easily just open the backside of the wall, just come from the angle where they don't, where the mechanoids can't see you, and just deconstruct one portion of the wall, and then you can just destroy the climate adjuster and run away. Quite often they don't even realize your people destroying that thing. And if you are really angsty, you can also just send one person and leave the other people at the border of the map and just leave it if necessary. Quite easy to take down. You just have to take care that you can handle the fight, which is up there. So, last but not least, we're going to go over... No, not quite last. This is not the last one. Item stashes. So, if there is an item, if there are enemies around an item stash, the situation is quite clear. If there are no enemies around the item stash, there's two possibilities. Either there is nothing against you, or enemies will spawn when you get close. To make sure that you don't get ambushed nastily, don't get in there with your whole squad. Just make sure that you are taking it carefully. After that's been dealt with, you can get inside there, grab the loot via the reform caravan system menu. Okay, let's get to the incapacitated refugee. Incapacitated refugees have a similar thing going on like I described with the item stashes. If there is nothing visible around there, just like I said, there can be an ambush. So ideally, you just send somebody in there alone, and as you see, there's an ambush. And we're being attacked by the people here. But if you don't... yeah, here they're coming from several sides of the map. So just keep in mind that you shouldn't risk the life of your folks there. Also, if you have these incapacitated refugees in your caravan, keep in mind that your caravan will have a very, very slow travel back home, because these guys are wounded and their moving value is really, really low. So whenever you offer to help incapacitated refugees, before you do so, make sure that your guys and girls have enough food and can sustain a really long way back home. And yeah, that's that. That summarizes all the different quests I know of. The last one I didn't mention here was those related to infestations, but since I made an entire tutorial about infestations, I felt like I didn't want to cram that into this episode as well. Alright, I hope that was helpful for you. Feel free to leave me a comment down below if you have any questions left, ask away. And also feel free to leave a thumbs up on that video if you found it helpful. And feel free to subscribe to my channel where I do similar content like this on a daily rate. And yeah, turn on those notifications. You won't miss anything there. In the description below, you'll see my social media links, my Twitch channel where I do daily streams, and also means and ways to support me in a financial way. If you want to reach out with a helping hand, I'd be more than grateful. Apart from that, let me thank you one more time for watching this video, and I hope it was helping you to do more successful quests in Rimworld. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.